Don't miss the newest ships for Star Wars Armada. Spiky bits. What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer with you again today, taking a look at some more space curves. We got the two new ships for Star Wars Armada, the Imperial Light Carrier expansion pack, and the Hammerhead Corvettes expansion pack, 2-pack right there, $39.99 for this one, and $29.99 for this little fatty right here. Now this is an exciting release. It seems like FFG, has been really ratcheting up the power level on fighters, but now they're kind of intriguingly giving us ships for the Rebels that have some really good forward offensive capabilities. We saw it with the Home One, or the Moncal, the big Moncal ship. We're seeing it with these guys as well. And then of course on the flip side, the Imperial Light Carrier is a very good ship. It gives you a lot of good fighter capabilities here. I don't know why I didn't open this already. I guess I got so excited looking at the rules I didn't even bother looking at the 2-pack of ships right here. So I think this is the first time we've seen a 2-pack from FFG right there, which is kind of surprising. You would think that they would have done that maybe already. I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is with that, but you can see here these are about the same size as a Corvette. Now I didn't even think to check how much the Corvette is by itself. I want to say it's 20 bucks. So for $39.99 for the 2-pack here, I don't think that's too bad of a deal, right? There you can see it's got the dramatic styling from the movie and looking pretty fresh there in its 2-pack form. Now as far as upgrades go, there's some really cool stuff in here. I don't think anything, when I was looking through it, I don't think we saw anything that hadn't been already spoiled on their site throughout the past couple of months. So we've got the big card here. Of course, this is a little ship stand right there, and then the Corvettes and all of the accompanying pieces. There is one card in here, the quad laser batteries that's shared across both this and the light carrier. Now let's take a look at the fire arc, and you can see here all the hull zones of the Hammerhead. So not too shabby. It's not as bad as it could be. It's got pretty wide open. I mean, it's not 180, but it's definitely bigger than we probably expected it. And unlike its Corvette sister, it does have a contain token. So a contain token for such a small ship is, I don't know, maybe a little unprecedented, but perhaps needed as it tries to close with ships much larger of its size and punch above its weight, so to speak. So here are the two variants, and you can tell points wise it's very similar to the normal Corvette. I think there's a 42 and a 39, I want to say, for the normal Corvette. 5 hull points. It's going to have 2 shields on the front, 1 all the way around on both sides. You've got a longer range and a shorter range variant, of course. The command, squadron, and engineering values all remain the same. Anti-fighter is a blue here and a black over here. And then of course you've got an evade, a contain, which we already talked about, and I believe that's, gosh, I really haven't played this game so long. Is that a brace or a redirect? Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. I need to phone a friend on that one. Holy cow. I'm pretty sure that's a redirect. That is not a brace. So that's definitely a redirect. We're gonna go with redirect, final answer. I'm gonna look pretty silly if that's wrong though. Well, you got me. I haven't played Armada in a couple of months. Dang it. So many games out there, so little time, but hey, don't think I don't enjoy a game of Armada every now and then. Alright, let's talk about cards here. Actually, Armada is one of my, still remains to this day, one of my favorite games out there. It's just very tactful in the maneuvering and such, and I really, really enjoy it. Alright, so there's, we got 3. We've got 1 commander, 1 officer, 1 new combo slot character, I guess you could say. So it's a weapon team offensive upgrade combo together. Same with boarding engineers right there. Quad weapon batteries. Now you get 2 of these because I imagine they want us to be using these. It's a very interesting card for 5 points. External racks, again, a very interesting card for 3 points. And then 3 titles, let's not throw those out there, or 2 titles and 2, wait a minute, why am I, okay, and 2 task force. And we'll explain that a little bit here in a minute. So we got Leia finally coming on board over to the commander slot for 38 points. She has a really good ability, and what that does is anytime you resolve a command by spinning a command dial, if it is not resolved another command this round, it may resolve the command as if it spent the matching command token along with it, so you get a free token. If it does, that ship cannot resolve additional commands that round, but I feel like that's okay, and it combos well with perhaps extra shot abilities that you could do here. I think we're going to see here that not only, well, the Hammerhead's definitely good at close range for a lot of different reasons, and I think that's definitely going to come into play in your command dials. And then we got Hondo Onaka, I don't know how to say it, but either way, interesting officer choice for 2 points. Now this is going to require a little bit of tact on your part to play this guy, because you're going to want to play this when you will get to dictate the commands that you take, and you leave your opponent with the choice of the 2 remaining commands that are, say, unusable by them. So there's always a con. It's almost a long con. You got to know when to play this one just right there. Then we got Cham, and Cham is a really interesting card. It's one of those double slots, so when you take a look here, you can see that you will be able to field either or equip either of the double slot cards, depending on what you want to do. The Torpedo Corvette obviously has an ordnance slot, and the Scout Corvette has a turbo laser slot, as opposed to the normal officer, offensive upgrade, and weapon team slots. So this one's really cool. When you reveal a command, you may discard a squadron dial or token as this card to choose one enemy ship at close range. If you do, you may choose a new command for each command dial assigned to that ship. So this is the ultimate mess with Vader's buttons card, so to speak. You get within that close range, and now you're going to completely mess up their battle plan. And you know, if you can lock them in with some clever maneuvering, you might be able to cause collisions, you might be able to cause them to just veer off the board, or all sorts of crazy stuff that might just happen. It's a lot of chaos to be had for only 5 equip points, and I think it's a really good value right there. If you are a very tactful and cunning Admiral, this card is probably definitely for you. I see a lot of these being fielded in, and I think there's a reason they gave us a 2-pack, because I could see a lot of fleets fielding these in 4s or 3s. And once we get, where is it? Oh, it's the task force. Once we get to task force cards, that's going to kind of come into play here. And then we got boarding engineers, and there's a sister card to this that was a bit of a surprise to me, and maybe it was revealed, maybe I just overlooked it in all the other news that we cover on Spiky Bits every day. But there's another sister card to this in the carrier pack that blew my mind when I read it. When I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. How did I not know this card was coming? I was like, this changes every fleet list I've ever made. So boarding engineers is still on that level. Still on that level. When you reveal the command, you may discard a squadron dial or token and this card to choose one enemy ship at close range. Again, these crew are all about getting in close range, and there's nothing else I feel like they can get in close range and be survivable like the Hammerhead Corvette, and you're going to see why. You're probably going to want multiples of them. Look at its face down damage cards and flip a number of them face up to your engineering value, one at a time. Now, granted, there's only 2 on this, but then again, if you do manage to, get them on another ship and get them into close range, maybe doing a broadside action or something like that, that could definitely come into play too. But I'm not sure you want to sacrifice those slots on a larger ship in order to do that. Then again, maybe I'm just not looking at the bigger picture here. You've already discovered I haven't played Armada in a few months. So maybe there's something I'm overlooking. But that being said, I feel like for 2 points, this might be a must-have on every Hammerhead Corvette that's going to be flanking in at a high rate of speed. Oh, speaking of which, I feel like we didn't talk about this as much as we should. Speed-wise here, this is a really interesting ship in itself because you have a little bit of wiggle room at your slower speeds, but as you start gaining speed, which it doesn't go up to 4, which is fine, it's not like its sister Corvette, it's slow and purposeful, you're not going to be able to change and adjust speed. So it's basically pick a vector and kind of go at it. And that's how you're going to engage ships with the Corvette. Now, we all know that if you ram something, you take a face down damage, and that's just the thing. That's just a fact of life. Day one, Armada 101, but you're going to see a title here in a second that's going to maybe open your eyes. But even if you have face down damage, this card right here does the Lord's work to face down damage, because you get a life support system failure, something crazy like that, and man, the game literally just turned into the Rogue One movie, where like a random chain of events just like took down the shield and boom, Death Star plants. Just it's that crazy stuff like that once you synergize and you start snowballing in this game, it can really turn the tides of battle for you. So sometimes it's always worth taking a risk, even if it's a small one. Quad battery turrets. Now this is the sister card that's also in the carrier. Modification, of course, turbo laser slot. When attacking a ship with a higher speed than yours, you may add 1 blue die to your attack pool. So this is interesting. It's 5 points, but it gives you that extra blue to try to, I guess, perhaps still be able to target them with your gun. So regardless of whether you have a blue in your pool, now you get a blue in your pool, as far as I can tell, because you add it to your attack pool. You always get an attack pool. So boom, you get a blue. Now external racks, I like this. I really, really like this. This is a huge savings points wise over another classic card. What was it, the quad launchers, I think, the one that everybody puts on their gladiators to get those extra black dice. But it's it's a stay in effect. It's a persistent card. You don't have to discard it, but it's 13 points, right? So this one is only 3. And while attacking at close range, you may discard this card to add 2 black dice to your attack pool. So you still have to be attacking at close range. All right, cool. So you're still going to get black dice, perhaps, potentially, whatever you're putting this on. But you have to discard it, but you get 2 black dice. And I think we can all agree that black dice are the bee's knees in this game. You're going to want them black dice. So if you can do it for 3, and when you're on a collision course with these and you're maneuvering into your attack vector, chances are you're not going to get another attack vector to come back around, to come about, and on the same ship at least. So the more you can plan some pinball effects through their fleet, that's probably better. But chances are you're going to want to get a whole bunch of attacks in on this. So say you command an extra shot, you get this for 2 extra black. You're talking 1, 2, 3. I mean, you're talking a lot of dice here. If you take this, that gets you up to 3, extra 4. So you can get a lot. You can get 7, almost 7 dice in your front arc, and 4 of them being black dice, which I feel like is very powerful and perhaps only surpassed at close range to some of those old shenanigans that gladiators could do, which I guess they technically can still do it, dish out like 11 and 13 dice at close range with all their shenanigans. So that's some really interesting stuff. This gives you some options. This gives you a lot of options, and I feel like once you start taking multiples of these hammerheads, you're gonna want to have those opportunities. You're gonna want to have one ship that does this, and one ship that does that, and one ship that does that. Now, the Geralt's Honor is the title for 4. Whenever you overlap an enemy ship, you flip a face up instead of a face down. So that's kind of cool. But again, if you're taking the boarding engineers, you might not need that. But again, if you're taking only one Hammerhead Corvette, maybe you want to take that. That's that's your prerogative. Task Force Argana, 1 point. Task Force Antilles, 3 points. Now, Task Force Argana is straight up offensive, so you're going to want to take multiple ships for this one. Antilles is a little bit different. It's more on the defensive side. When you suffer damage from an attack, you may choose and exhaust a copy of this card on another friendly ship at range 1 to 3. If you do, that ship suffers 1 of your damage instead. while this card is exhausted, you cannot spend engineering points. So I think that's fair. Now it's going to give you 2 copies of both of these in here so that you can equip them on both your ships if you want. So I think it's brilliant. I think it's very forward thinking from FFG to do that. So what this does is it allows you to close that gap with a squadron, a task force, so to speak, of 4 of these with a larger, more powerful ship, and perhaps kind of come in at a vector that you shouldn't. So it's a little bit forgiving if you mess up and you come in and you get caught in that front arc, or that double dip of front and side, and they blast you with like 7 to 8 dice. You might be able to shrug it off. 7 solid hits, 8 solid hits could probably finish one of these, because you're looking at 5 hull and 2 shields. You only have a redirect, so you're only going to be able to throw off one of those, but this is the ultimate redirect in the fact that as long as you can pass off 4 other damage, or 3 other damage, if you have 3 other ships around you, at least at range 1 to 3. So that's something to think about. Now, Task Force Armada is a little bit more forward thinking. When attacking, you may choose and exhaust a copy of this card on another friendly ship at range 1 to 3 to reroll up to 2 attack dice. While this card is exhausted, you cannot attack ships. So a good idea here would definitely be to pop off 2 of your ships, maybe using their normal attack complement, and then perhaps your other 2 try to coup de grace that ship, and exhaust these cards on your ship that already attacked, because they can't attack twice. So if you exhaust them, now you're going to get to reroll those last 2 ships. So maybe shoot with ships that are a little bit further back first, and then get your close in ships second. That seems like that would be a good idea to me. So that's the first half of the video. Let's reboot the table and pull out that carrier and talk more about that. And there she blows, a ship like no other. This is the Imperial light carrier. Like I said, $29.99, new release from FFG. Comes with all the tokens and all the cards, everything you need to get rolling, and lots of upgrade cards. Of course, this is the first true expansion I think we've seen for Armada in quite some time. I mean, we had the Carillion Corvette, but things are just exploding everywhere. But this one's pretty sweet. So we've seen this in some shows. It's got the full-on little hangar bays right there. This thing's definitely designed to stay on station and do the Lord's work with its squadrons. And as far as the game goes, it's definitely bringing squadrons back. This thing is a huge boon for any squadrons, but also getting into short range for a lot of things right there. So great paint job overall from FFG, another winner in my book. Now, as far as base size, you're looking at a rather large, not quite the normal Star Destroyer. It's definitely Victory class size right there, right? Alright, let's jump in here. So, here's the ship. Here's our stats for both versions of it. We've got the 1 and the 2. 2 shields all the way around, 1 in the back, but let's be honest, you shouldn't be getting flanked that much with all these crazy squadrons. You got 2 variants, one with blue up to that medium, and then one with red and blue to give you a little bit more range all the way out to downtown. 6 hull points. 1 blue over here for anti-squadron, 1 red over here for anti-squadron. As far as squadrons go, we got 4. So you're going to be able to activate 4 of this of the squadrons with a command, of course. You're going to be able to keep 2 commands on deck and 2 engineering points there. So this does have a brace and a redirect, but no other commands available to it. Now, as far as upgrades go, you got officer, you got weapon team, you got double offensive right here, or double weapon team over here. Dun dun dun. Price point wise, you're looking at 54 and 61, so you're right. Cheaper than a Gladiator? I want to say you're cheaper than a Gladiator. Definitely cheaper than a Victory, but nonetheless, a very completely different type of ship here. Now let's see, what do we got? Let's not do the titles quite yet. Okay, so we got Admiral Sloan, which we've seen. The Grand Inquisitor making his debut finally. Boarding Troopers, what? Where did those come from? I didn't know about those. Disposable capacitors, quad laser battery turrets, which we just saw on the other ship right there, and then 3 titles, the Pursuant, the Squall, and the Stronghold, all doing very different things. So Admiral Sloan here is interesting. When a friendly squadron without rogue is attacking, it may spend 1 die with an accuracy icon to choose and spend 1 of the defender's defense tokens. Now, I may be a dummy, but I always thought if you rolled accuracy and you were going up against another squadron, that you could just do that. However, this might apply to a capital ship, and I'm not sure if that was allowed in the past. Now, I know you cannot apply a critical against a capital ship unless you have the bomber ability. So I get this next line here: while attacking the ship, it may also reroll 1 die with the bomber, or excuse me, with the critical icon. So that really levels up your fighters, because now on that D8, you're looking for 2 symbols, not just a hit. You're also looking for the critical effect, so that's kind of cool. So if you're going fighter heavy, you might want to think about taking Admiral Sloan for sure. Now the Grand Inquisitor, you don't have to worry about choosing, because he is an officer, so you could probably fit him into your plans very easily. And what I like about this is when an enemy ship at distance 1 to 5 changes its speed, you may, which is the full 12 inches away, you may exhaust this card to increase or decrease your speed by 1. So that gives you a little bit of tact. Whatever ship you're putting him on, I mean, I could definitely see him doing the Lord's work on, you know, something like a Star Destroyer, because speeding up and slowing down with those things definitely isn't on a lot of captains' minds. It's straight damage output. So when those sneaky rebels do sneaky things, having the ability to just throttle up and throttle down seems like a good idea to me. Boarding troopers, what is going on? It melted my face when I saw this one. I was like, where did that card come from? I hadn't seen that. That was totally below the radar for me, but I was like, oh cool, what's this? This might be good. So when you reveal a command, you may discard a squadron token or dial and this card to choose one enemy ship at close range. So the caveat is you do have to be kind of close, right? But let's keep reading. Choose and spend a number of its defensive tokens up to your squadron value. So what does this say? This says a lot of things. This is the ultimate mess with Vader's buttons card right here. This makes you blow through their defensive tokens. F Intel Officer, this guy's the show now. This is incredible. Now, yes, it does have some drawbacks. You have to be at close range. You have to have this card. You have to have a squadron dial or token to play. But that being said, when people mess with you, sometimes they just give you squadrons, and they're going to think twice about just giving you a squadron when you already have boarding troopers on deck, right? They might give you something else, but I mean, even if they give you a nav token or an extra shot or something like that, you can use all that stuff. So this not only kind of forces your enemy to make choices, but it gives you the potential to literally leave a ship defenseless in the face of an incoming onslaught by the rest of your ships behind whatever is at that range 1. It's the ultimate forlorn hope. It's the ultimate suicide squad right there. But man, that thing has the potential to change a game for 3 points. And it does take up 1 weapon slot and 1 offensive slot. So it's going to be restricted on what ships you can put it on. But still, let me tell you what, I'm loving that card right there. For a very tactful admiral, commander, whatever you want to call him, this, I think we're going to see a lot more of boarding troopers on both sides of the factions out there. Then we've got disposable capacitors, which I feel like is pretty cool. Small or medium ships only. I mean, that's just fair, to be honest. I feel like it would be an auto include at the offensive slot on most large ships, because there isn't a lot, unless you're performing a specific role, that I feel like you want to take at that offensive slot. So I feel like you're still kind of rudderless at the offensive slot on things like, you know, the Moncals, or perhaps, you know, not the victories, but the ISDs. But that being said, let's read it. When you activate, you may discard this card. If you do, the blue dice in your battery armament can be used while attacking ships at close range until the end of the round. So it is a discardable card, but you get to use your blue dice a little bit more tactfully than you would in the past there, right? In the battery armament. What's the battery armor? Is that the anti-personnel? That battery armament's throwing me. I feel like the blue dice in your battery armament. At close to long range. Well, obviously you can never use a blue dice at long range, so that's good. That's good value in and of itself, but we'll have to do some research on what battery armament means. I feel like that just means that's your attack value. That's just a term I haven't heard before, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. When attacking, okay, so over to quad battery turrets, modification, we just saw this on the other ship. When attacking a ship with a higher speed, you may add one blue die to your attack pool. That's self-explanatory. When you Pursuant is a title. When you reveal a command other than a squadron, you may discard this card to resolve a squadron. Treat this command as if you had spent a squadron dial. So theoretically, I guess you could cash it in for a token if you want it. Whatever. For 2 points, might be pretty good. Gives you a little bit of insurance policy there. If you effed up and you selected something else and then plans change, it is a one-time type deal. Now, Squall, when you activate, you may choose up to 3 unengaged friendly squadrons at close medium range. Those squadrons may move up to distance 2. If they do, they cannot end their movement engaged. So what this is going to do here is allow you to get a free 2 boost to your squadrons. As long as you don't use them to lock in, you have to set them up for a to activate in the squadron phase, and therefore they'll get their full accompaniment of movement. So you're talking interceptors will get to go 7 total, normal tides would get to go 6 total, or something like that, right? So I see where this is useful, and it is more than a one-time use. It's a persistent card, so you're gonna be able to threaten and project that power a lot farther than you were used to, and keep your enemy on their toes for sure. And then Stronghold, when a friendly squadron with Swarm at distance 1 to 2 is defending, that attack is treated as obstructed. Now this is a really interesting card. It is exactly what the title says there. It's a Stronghold. It forces you to make decisions about how you're going to engage the fighters you present to your enemy, or it's going to force your enemy to make choices about the positioning and such like that, because they're not going to be able to activate the anti-fighter armaments on their capital ships, because generally that's only 1. So right there, ineffective, right? Furthermore, now I'll have to check. Now I'll have to check, because I'm actually not sure if you can be obstructed. If a squadron can be obstructed with squadron. I do not play a lot of squadrons, so I know when you're both on an obstacle, you're not obstructed. But I'll have to check on that. So it seems like that would be the case by the 5 squadron points here, that this, or the 5 build points that this is taking up. I would think that that would take into account both of those rules being correct. However, feel free to correct me in the comments below, because that one actually stumped me as well. So I feel like with 5, that would work that way. I don't know, I'm gonna have to work it through my head. So maybe by the time I post this video, I'll have the solutions or the answers to those 2 questions that we discovered together here on this video already answered, because I'll whip out my handy dandy rulebook and look it up. So that is it. That is it, folks. We got to the end of the line. The new wave for Star Wars Armada is here. It's exciting. It's very cool. It helps kind of change, or I don't know, it helps synergize some of the changes out there between some of the rebels getting some forward firing and forward offensive firepower forward in their front arcs, and squadrons still being a thing. Very cool squadron abilities here with this carrier, which notoriously, you know, the rebels seem to have the upper hand when it came to squad combat and such like that. So that's it for this one, folks. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on our videos. And of course, head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.